Hello, everyone, today. It's so good to see you. I really enjoy these sort of collective gatherings. Today is a discussion on dream interpretation and dream symbology, something that over the past couple of years I've started to really open up to intuitively. If you've looked at any of my previous videos on intuitive development, one of the things that I've talked about is that's kind of like the first indication of my intuition came through dreams. Like when I was a kid and I was going to, school, later to college, I would know if there was going to be like a pop quiz. I would also know if there were friends that needed to talk to me or if there was something going on. I would always dream about it first and then I would see it. And I just figured, oh, that's just a hunch, or everybody could do that. It wasn't until later, until I talked to other people, they're like, no, you shouldn't be not everybody knows that. So dreams for me have always been really clairvoyant. And over the past 2 years in particular, as I've started to delve into it for you guys, it's become even more powerful. I'm going to put Apollo down and we're going to talk about what we're going to discuss today. I have a lot of questions that came through from all the channel members and Patreon patrons. So thank you so much. I'm going to do my best to address all of them if time allows. We're not going to do the usual format today. Today's exciting. It's a deviation from what I normally do. I have a few general messages just about, for me, how dreams work and why I want to talk about it. But then I'm going to get into all of the questions that you guys asked and the little, all my chicken scratch on the side there, all the answers that I have. If I need to, periodically, I'll pull some cards to get some additional information. And we'll see at the end if there's time for anything. Maybe I'll do a 3-card pull. But today is really more of a developmental discussion about how can I, how can we all learn more from dreams and develop psychically through our dreams. It's an easy avenue. We don't always have time to meditate, but every night we go to sleep and most of us have dreams that we remember. So this is a way to use that skill to open up your third eye, okay? First things first, I'd like to welcome everyone. Thanks to Maria, who's helping moderate today. Thanks to all the channel members. This is really, and just all the longtime viewers. Today's a special thank you for those who have clicked the join button, become a member, or have supported me on Patreon. So one of the big perks is that on days like this, I will take questions from those supporters. If you ever want to follow me on social media, by the way, it's at Nicholas Ashbaugh, and the link is on my website. So thanks again to anyone that's helped out. Also, thanks, if you like what you're seeing today, you can also show a little support by hitting the super chat or super sticker icon. It helps me do stuff like this. I'm trying to do more bonus videos for you guys, and likewise with the applaud button if you're watching it on replay. Okay, let's talk. Let's get into what's going on and what we're going to talk about today. So for me, the most important thing to think about, a lot of times, even when I talk to family members and fellow intuitives, sometimes people want to get too literal with the dreams. So for me, yes, they can be literal, but they're usually symbolic. And what I scribbled here is that the script is not as important as how it makes you feel or what symbol may come through for you. So sometimes I think we all struggle with trying to remember all the details. Forget about it. The most important thing is kind of like, imagine that you were taking pictures on your phone and you were thinking, what am I going to post to Instagram or send to my friend or whatever? It's those snapshot moments that you should try to remember. So, if you're this morning, one of the things that I saw before I got started was this image of trying new clothes on in a fitting room. And I couldn't quite find the right fit. I was trying this, I was trying that. And it actually was a metaphor for today. It was not about what I was wearing or what I was looking at. I was like, oh yeah, dreams give us a chance to try on a new idea, a new persona, a new attitude. And it's kind of like this virtual fitting room where we're exploring a different part of our psyche. We're looking at things from a different angle. We're looking at ourselves, a reflection of ourselves. So that dream symbol was even informing what we would do today. Who cares what I was trying on? It doesn't matter. Who cares where I was? Which store I was at? Doesn't matter. Who cares who was there? None of that mattered. The metaphor mattered, that I was trying something on and I couldn't find the right fit. So you keep dreaming, you keep trying. So that's how you could decode a metaphor right there. Sometimes you're worrying too much about like the price tag, the article of clothing. You're getting too granular. Approach dreams with curiosity and enthusiasm. Never fear. you should look forward to going to sleep at night. You should imagine that it's kind of like a good story that you would read if you had a mom, dad, uncle, somebody that used to read stories to you, because that's what it is. It's your higher self creating the script for you to look at. The most important thing that you can do in order to dream clearer and to be able to receive more is to clear your head out. Try not to watch the news before you go to bed. Try not to watch some sort of a horror movie. You shouldn't do that in general, but like try to kind of keep it really energetically clean about half an hour to an hour before you go to bed. Take care of yourself. There should be some sort of self-care ritual that you would do that would clear and open everything up. What I was saying before is, again, you get this chance to try new things on. So once you're in the dream state, the more you start to do this, the more you practice kind of being aware of your dreams, the more you can start to interact with them. And trust me on this, if you ask anyone or anything that you meet in a dream, who are you? What's your name? What's your purpose, intention, why you're here? Something like that. They have to answer. Every time I ask, the name is always revealed, even if it's not there to help you. And if it's there to hurt you or to kind of like wake you up on something, it will tell you that there's some sort of weird universal law that I've discovered anyway, where you can ask the identity because it's your domain. It's like it's in your energy, it's in your head. So you have the right to ask, who are you? What do you want? Why are you here? And so you are always in control of your dreams in that respect. In order to not be the spiritual tumbleweed that I'm talking about here, you have to prepare. So, by the way, just 4 more cards and then we're going to get into your questions. Always set an intention and ask for protection. 2 archangels that you can use are Michael and Gabriel. You can use anything that feels right to you, any connection to the divine. So whether it's earth magic or whether it's sort of like some other ascended deity or God or whatever, you can work with that, but ask for protection. Gabriel and Michael are good because Gabriel's good for communication. Michael's good for general protection. Always start with gratitude, then set the intention for what you're trying to receive, and then ask them to filter it for you so that you could say, I only want to receive messages that are archangelic or higher, which would then be like divinely guided intuition. Something like that will help out. Otherwise, if you just go to sleep, maybe you've watched the news, you're just busy or whatever, you snooze a little bit and you go to bed finally, you could meet anything, you could do anything, you have set no expectations for what's going to happen. And it's the equivalent of back in the day where there was a dial that you would turn to on a television. It would just be kind of like spinning the dial. It's like, Wheel of Fortune roulette or something. Who knows what's going to happen? So don't do that. Set an intention like tonight, I really want to have a good night's rest and I don't want to be disturbed. Or tonight, I want to focus on receiving insight on how to live a better life. You can't always completely program it, but you can set the general intention and that will help. 3 more cards and we'll get started. These are important because we're setting the groundwork for like how I'm interpreting dreams. I had a past lifetime in Egypt. I think a lot of us have, but I remember looking at hieroglyphs and everything. So to me, dream symbols remind me a lot of hieroglyphics. And it's a lot like tarot, right? You got like 78 or so cards depending on the deck. Each one of those symbols can be interpreted different ways. So your particular language is going to be singular. I'm going to help you through some of my interpretations of what you're going through. Then you should further develop it because each of us, every psychic that you'll talk to has a different connection. And when you look at certain mediums that maybe don't use cards and they just use symbols, their guides will come to them and show them things. All they've really done is created a visual tarot or a visual hieroglyphic or petroglyph or whatever with the other side. And so that's what the symbols are. What it is it allows spirit to work with you in a compressed visual sort of language here or shorthand. So if you see something like a snake, it's going to represent power or maybe sexuality or expression or whatever. That's one of the questions and we'll get to it. And so rather than them having to verbally say it, they're just going to show you an image. So as you start to learn what the images feel like when you see them and how they relate to what happens over the next day or 2 in your life, you're going to see, oh yeah, snake, that's what I have to pay attention to this. Oh, I see this, it's going to mean this. So you'll kind of learn to internalize it, and then it becomes a visual language, a compressed visual language that is a shorthand to deliver messages. Because spirit, it takes energy for guides and especially those who have passed to come through. So if they can download it in a very succinct visual symbol, better. And it also, they want you to do some of the work too. Okay, with practice, you'll become more fluent. Remember, you're the creator. You're connected to the creator, and you're the creator as well. Okay, let's get started. All right, so I'm going to start with the questions that were provided from all the channel members and patrons out there. And if we have time, I'll see if there's time to take any other ones, or if I feel like pulling some cards. But today is very much in the flow. So I'm going to go with the flow and go with the questions that I received. I'm going to start with YouTube members first and some of the questions that I got here. Okay, so I'm just going to do them chronologically in the order that you guys put the questions on my page. So one of the first questions I got was about somebody that was looking at a parking garage and elevators. And the question was about the elevators in particular. It sounds like they were going up and down. And it seemed like you were kind of lost in the garage. So for me, elevators are really interesting symbols in dreams. I've talked about this before, that you wouldn't, like, it's a weird connection, but it can be parents or family sometimes, because our mom and dad basically kind of are like the spiritual elevator that we use to get into this planet. They give us the genetic material that we need, and we literally come through one of them to exist here. So specifically, it can be your mother. An elevator can be your mom, because that's the metaphor that I've been able to kind of pull together. But it's also about making a decision. It can be like a Two of Swords moment where you don't know where to go. And if you're lost in the garage and you don't know where the elevator's going, this is really just about planning and figuring it out. You can always get out. There's always the stairs. There's always other ways. You could always get in a car and just go out. But it's really about a choice. And when I read this, I thought it's Two of Swords. It could also be parental, something with the mom, something about indecision coming from the mom. So that's my connection to it. But that's because I've identified the elevator as those things. So you may identify it separately, but that's some things that I would see with an elevator. I got a bunch of questions about flying and astral projection. And what I would say, first of all, flying is a fantastic thing. This one came from Paris. The other one came from someone, Anne. But with this next question about flying, to me, it's astral projection. So if you've ever felt like you are flying, you are. Basically, it's your higher self kind of leaving your body. Well, you're already out of your body. So it could be you kind of connecting with the higher self, or looking up using your psychic vision and seeing things a little bit. You're literally projecting out there in space. So it feels good. It's free because you are experiencing flight. It's the other thing about this. So flying is good. I would say keep flying. Look around. What are you supposed to be looking at? What's around you? So don't just kind of get lost in the feeling of flying. Look around and see what's in the distance. Look at where you're at. Look at yourself and see how others perceive you. There was also a question, and this is really common, so I definitely want to deal with this, about being naked in a dream. So nudity, much like in tarot cards, it can mean a couple of things. So in tarot, it's actually divinity. If you look at old Roman and Greek statues, you're going to see like Aphrodite, and she'll be nude, or you'll see Hermes or Mercury, he'll be naked. It's not just salacious. It's actually because most of the gods they're divine vessels. They have nothing to hide. And when we look at pictures of Adam and Eve, same sort of thing. There's no shame. It's all divine. It's all integration. So in tarot, we'll see like the World card, the Lovers, the Star, sometimes Temperance. There's a lot of different cards that will show nudity, but particularly when it comes to the World, it's because you've kind of resolved everything, right? Sometimes it's half naked, half clothed, but nudity can just be, I've done the work that I need to do and I'm not hiding anything. It can also be insecurity and a feeling of being seen when you don't want to be seen. Like, oh my gosh, that person truly sees me, or I feel like they're revealing something about me. So it can be insecurity, exposure, but it can also be like the Star. You've actually gotten to this point where you have nothing to hide and you're showing your true self. So it really depends on the context. If you felt good, then it's the integration. If you felt insecure, or if you felt nervous, like if you're at work or school and you're naked and you're worried that people are going to laugh at you, it's about them seeing you and judging you for who you truly are. And it's scary for all of us to be seen that way. So that's nudity in dreams. And flying is getting a different perspective. It's freedom. It's astral projection. So that was a good question, Paris. The next one was And Multiverse had a similar question about flying. So there you go. From Lynn, there was a question about also flying and floating above houses and trees. Same thing. It's freedom too. Maybe there's a point in your life where you're just ready to get out of a relationship or move to a new place or, quit a job. And so sometimes we get those dreams of flying because we need to be free. Okay, so Jacqueline had a good question asking about what does it mean if someone's missing in a dream, but they should be there? So you're noticing their absence. Maybe, you're depending on someone or you're going to work, your boss isn't there or whatever. So I think this is an accountability thing on some levels. Are they MIA in real life? Are they not showing up? Also, maybe they're not the point. So if we give too much time and energy to someone in our life, it's almost as if they start to, they become like an energy sink, right? So this is reminding you that there might be room for you to step in. They're not part of the equation. So an absence is actually a message as well. So diminished importance, it could be a Six of Swords moment where they're pulling back, becoming more distant. All of those things is what I would say with this. So if someone isn't there, then look at them in real life and see if they're showing up the way that they should, okay? It could just be you're supposed to focus on yourself a little bit more. Okay, how do you focus on lucid dreaming? This question is from Lori. Practice, for sure. And recording your dreams when you wake up. Not like, you can use a recorder or use your telephone to sort of just dictate into. But in order to lucid dream, you're going to have to get used to getting up and writing it or tapping it into your phone or dictating it, because you have to get used to committing it to memory and then start to remember that dreaming is a process. And you could set some sort of an intention before you go to bed that you're going to not wait, like just say, I want to stay in the dream a little bit more. You could ask your guides for help on that. You could also use a symbol, something, it's kind of like what happened in Inception, where you know that you could do something impossible to see if you were in a dream, nothing dangerous, just something weird, like you could levitate something, right? And if you could levitate a rock, then you know you're dreaming, and then you can start to take advantage of it. If I'm holding up a stone right now and it's not moving, I'm not dreaming. So you can try something like that to test the walls of dreaming, and then that's your symbol. Hey, I can have fun with this a little bit. I can explore without fear because I'm creating it. I'm the writer. I'm the actor. Okay. And yeah, practice. Practice will help with that. Setting an intention, like I said, before you go to bed, writing dreams down, and then starting to, another thing for those of you that aren't dreaming, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but you can practice daydreaming. So kind of just really getting into a deep meditative state, maybe listening to a gong meditation or something like that, kind of getting right on the edge of going to sleep, but not quite. And then at that point, turn off or maybe just have it like a, 10 or 15 minute sound that you're going to listen to and then let it stop. Don't have it repeat. And at that point, I want you to focus on reaching out a little bit, imagining, but it's kind of like, I could kind of fall asleep, but I'm not going to fall asleep. Play with that time, because you will be able to explore lucid dreaming a little bit more, and you can daydream and possibly even slip into dream state if you want to, but now you're really in control of it then. And you've really emptied out your mind as well. So for those of you that can't dream, daydream or do something else to clear out the space a little bit again, okay? Let's go to the next question here. And Edwina was asking about what is happening when people come through in a different role in your dream. Like if a close friend is one of your kids or something like that. It could be a past life flashback. So soulmates, whether it's, your furry friend here, Apollo, or someone that you love in your life, you've probably had a connection with them before, and dreams reveal hidden truths. So what could be coming through for you is that you were like, siblings or parent and child before. And what you would want to evaluate now is, are you stepping into that again? Do you feel like you're stepping into the role of parent? Do you feel like they always need to be told what to do? Are you kind of leading them in this relationship? Can there be more sort of cooperative energy? And that's what it is. It's probably past life. It could also just be showing codependencies or opportunities to step up, opportunities for growth. Okay. Let's move along to the next question. This one came from Monica. And you said you had a dream that included your daughter. You had to keep returning to a place and retrieve something you've forgotten. So it feels like you're kind of stuck in a loop there. And you were riding bikes. Okay, so retrieving something. This could just be a chance to kind of like a second chance coming through in your life. A lot of times we have trouble moving on because we feel like there's something that we have to do. If you're afraid that you forgot something, I think the other thing to look at is just overall fulfillment in your life. Is there something missing? Because to me, it's more about the missing piece than what you forgot. So do a little bit of meditation on, I mean, your daughter is interesting, but I feel like it has more to do with you. Is there something in your past that you haven't accomplished? And vicariously, as you look at your daughter grow up, is there something you wish you were doing? Because I kind of see you going back to your younger self and thinking, you know, I see her doing this. Why haven't I done this? Or what can I do? Or what can I still sort of explore? So feed the inner child is what I see with that one. Okay. Let's see, Burmese Jade, you said you constantly dream about houses in the past. This is actually quite common. You said you've been dreaming on and off for 30 years, and then there's some stuff there that you want to deal with, and we'll talk about that in a second. But let me latch onto the old house piece, because I know many people, myself included, that will dream of our key childhood home. It may not be your first, it's the one you lived at the longest, or maybe if you lived in an apartment for a long time, long after you've gone, you still will have dreams there. Because you imprint energetically on a space. So there's a little part of you that's energetically there, the same way that places can be haunted or can carry with them a light energy or a heavy energy. So what you could do is look at that old space and kind of bless it, release it, and see if there's anything there nostalgically that you were drawn to look at. All it is that you imprinted on the space. So you could just focus on a release ceremony or a kind of meditation where you let it go and you close the door and you throw the key inside and say goodbye. That's really all it is a connection to the old space because you lived there so long. Nothing to really worry about there. You were worried that maybe it was haunted or there was something there. If there was something heavy in that energy, it's probably about the experience in that point in time. So if you feel like there is a skeleton in the closet or something, then you need to just deal with it. There's something from that time period that's calling you back, something that you experienced in that house. The sooner you kind of deal with that childhood trauma, the sooner the house will go away. It's not the house necessarily that's haunted. It's sort of your memory or your energy with it. And that's what I'm picking up on for that. So houses just usually represent an imprint. And there's maybe something about that time period that we're revisiting in our head and resolving in the present. So we go back in time to kind of ground ourselves. Okay, next question here came from Catherine. And you said you rarely remember your dreams, even though you set the intention before you go to sleep. What can you do differently so that you can remember them more? I got an idea for this one too. One thing that you can do here is, in addition to meditating, if you have a partner or a friend and you want to try this, you could have someone try to wake you up and ask you what you were dreaming. Because we go into REM sleep, you know, your eyes are moving really fast, and you could have someone at a certain point wake you up. You could also set an alarm and immediately upon getting up, just sort of like write it down. Because if you're waking up and you kind of forget it, like because it's been too long and you just fall out of that state and you're just relaxed, then you're not going to remember that. So you could try to come right out of the dream state and have someone talk to you. But daydreaming is also super helpful with this. So that's why meditating to the point of almost going to sleep and then playing with that area, I think that would work for you too. Try to do things like exercise, meditate, and get caffeine out of your diet, and just really be in a nice peaceful state before you go to bed. And if you're not dreaming, then you may connect with spirit in a different way. And it's okay. Not everybody has really strong dreams. But I do think it is something that you can exercise and get better at. I write down a ton of information. Like I've been gathering stuff for Aries and a little bit for today. But what I'll do is I'll tap it in my phone. It's hard to see, but like I basically, I have a whole bunch of stuff that's queued up. I have like several paragraphs. So I wake up and I will write something down, very short. It'll be something like, let me see, I'll read a little something here. Okay, so one of them was drain and plumbing issues, which I thought had to do actually with how clear your thinking was, or kind of like getting some movement happening in your house. So I didn't focus on like what was happening around it. I just sort of wrote down plumbing, and it's more about the flow of energy or the flow of resources. So I just get a feeling when I see something and I wake up and I'm like, what is that? And I write down the first thing. Someone asked about like Sigmund Freud and some other people. I don't overanalyze a dream symbol. I look at it and I get the first thing, just like you would with tarot. I actually think reading tarot can help you with dream interpretation, because you're going to learn all the stuff that, you know, a symbol can mean, and then you're going to look at it and feel how it is today. So if we were to pull a card, for instance, to see what you could do for your dream clarity, we've got the King of Wands. Don't overthink. Just kind of move with it. See what the symbol is that comes through. And this is the card of overthinking for me. It's a very cognitive card. So just kind of be easy. He's a casual king here. So just allow things to flow and don't overthink it. Okay. All right. So let's look at the next question here. Let's see. Okay, we're going to Andre. You said, what techniques do you recommend for having more vivid and or more memorable dreams? Do you believe in befriending the inner dreamer? You know what? One thing that you can do, Andre, is this is a great stone for sleeping. It's labradorite. And this is really good for helping you get both grounded, because I did a little short video about this, but it also helps you go further out there. So you can put something like this under your pillow by your bedstand, or, you know, under the mattress a little bit, so you're not sleeping on this hard stone. But if you sleep with something like this, it can help you a little bit, because it's protecting and elevating the energy and allowing you to go out there. The other thing that you can do for the vivid portion of it is, again, I've kind of talked about some of these things where I think that you want to really empty the mental space out. So meditate, listen to some music, really clear it out, and get into a peaceful state. Where you sleep, it should also be sort of cozy and dreamy. So have some soft lighting in there, clean out the bedroom so that there's no clutter, have a really beautiful colored bedspread. And you want to pay attention to the color of the bedspread too. I know that's sort of weird, but something like blues and greens are really nice for dreaming, and purples. That's a protective color. It's also like associated with, you know, third eye and the crown chakras. So purples, blues and greens, heart, throat, and third eye, and basically looking at the different colors of the chakras, you can do that. I would avoid red. I would black is okay, but I would say it's not as good for the sort of peaceful dreaming. It's a good protective symbol. I mean, I have it on today, but I would say for dreaming, I would prefer blues, greens, and purples in the bedroom. Yellow, it's a strong color. It's a strong, powerful color. Same thing with orange. It's okay for communication, but when it comes to dream state, look at what your bedroom looks like. Look at what the paint looks like on the wall. And then using stones is really helpful. And then setting the intentions, like I said earlier, working with Gabriel in particular, because to me, that's like the psychic archangel if you want to work with one. So all of those things should help you out a little bit. And playing around with, if you're psychic or psychically attuned, right before you go to bed or right when you wake up, you're still half in. So you can work a little bit with that energy. If you wake up, you can probably go back to sleep and then play around a little bit with it. So always kind of push the walls of dreaming a little bit and see if you can stay in it and work with it. But hopefully that helps you. For you, I thought of labradorite. So hopefully that helps. All right, Karen, you had a question here. Let's see. Okay, what does it mean when you dream that time is passing very quickly? You said that like every year was almost like a minute, but it felt like it wasn't passing quickly at all for you. You know what? I feel like this is actually what it's like when you're not alive. So like when you're on the other side, when you're in spirit, I should say, when you're not corporal, time is much different. And when you're way into the ethers and when you're out there kind of like as an archangel, I feel like it's constant. It's like you could go past, present, future. It's kind of like this big soupy thing. So here on this planet, we kind of have a watch, and we've made it into this very sort of measured form. But like when you travel, the speed of light, time passes differently. When you're not in this dimension, it travels differently. I think you were just connecting with either another dimension or past recollection that time is a construct. But the other piece of it is you could change the pacing of your goals. So something could happen faster than you think, because you were the one that felt like it wasn't moving, but things were moving around you. So take a more active role in your life, if I were to kind of like pull it out another level. Okay. So I think that's one piece, is just you have the capacity to move past the illusion of time, and you've lived in in dimensions and times and spaces where this linear time wasn't what it was. That's all. So it shouldn't be something that's scary. It should be something that helps you think, oh, I have the ability like clay to move through the energy of time a little bit more. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's see. How do you know if you're talking to a past, someone who's dead or someone that you're dreaming up? So basically this is a question of, if I see someone or something in my dream, is it my imagination or am I communicating with that energy? So I think almost everything that we receive in a dream can actually have some value to us. There are garbage dreams where you're just working through the daily stuff, and I'm going to save it because someone had a question about that. But if you are having a dream and you're talking to your deceased mother or father or aunt or uncle or cat or whatever, because I've had a dream with a cat that's passed away. So all of these things are real on some level. So you're connecting with that person. But what I would say for you is it's how you feel and it's how vivid the imagery is. So there are dreams that I have had where it is so ridiculously clear. I can remember every detail. I wake up happy or sad or sweating because, you know, you're running or something. You felt it. You felt the energy. It was either real or it had happened before. So the vivid energy that you receive can tell you like, no, this is real. I know it. So that's one, how visceral it was. The other thing is sometimes you feel a sense on your body, or if you start to become really attuned to energy. I felt with an archangel before, sometimes they'll caress your cheek a little bit, or you'll feel like a feather on your cheek. It's kind of like they're like what a mom would do to a little baby. They just gently caress you to say, hey, I'm here, don't be afraid. The energy with angels is usually very gentle and loving and warm. It kind of washes over you like this warm blanket. And it just feels really safe, really calm, really warm. They won't force you to do anything. And it's euphoric. Like you may even, sometimes I'll take a deep breath when I'm in the presence of something that's extremely elevated. So whether it's an ascended master, an angel, or higher, when you connect with something super high, it can take your breath away. So you'll know if it's something like that. If it's a dead relative, how did you feel when you saw them? What message did they give you when you woke up? And keep sort of track of that. But I would say if you're dreaming about someone that's passed, it probably is that. The only other thing that it could be is if there was an insecurity that you have with somebody and it's kind of coming back in your dreams. You're hearing something that they said, you're running away from them. What this could just be is then a residual energy of something that's unresolved. And you could actually be calling to them or pulling that sort of, it's like a residual haunting. It's not, that person may have even crossed over, but you're holding on to a little energetic thread. So if it's fear or uncertainty, you could probably clear it. If you're having a conversation, you probably are. Pay attention to your body. It will give you the signals on how much to pay attention to that. Okay. So we'll talk more about that in a second. I see more questions about houses. Again, houses to me, it's about the imprint that you have. If there's a door that you're opening in the house or things like that, it can also be about a new opportunity, opening up something new, or opening up the skeletons in the closet too. Okay, let me go on to the next question, which was this. It said, what do you think of Freud's book on interpretation of dreams? You know, I admittedly haven't read that particular book. I will say the first thing that came to me was not to overthink it. So I think sometimes when it comes to like philosophy versus intuition and psychic phenomenon, what I try to do is I look at it and I feel it and I get the first instinct that comes to me when I'm interpreting. And I think sometimes with Freud, there was a lot of levels of just even kind of the cursory knowledge that I have of Freud. Like sometimes I feel like he was putting way too much into certain things and was trying to sexualize a lot of things. And I don't necessarily see or feel that. So I think don't overthink it is what I would say. But I'm curious and maybe I'll check the book out and have comments on it later. But that's what my guides told me, was just not to overthink it. And then you said, okay, you said in your dreams, you constantly find yourself, like you're having a dream when you're asleep and trying to control what happens next in your dream. So it's like a dream within a dream almost. So with this, the same thing. I feel like there's too much control. It's kind of like the chariot energy that's coming in here. So if you just release control and see what the dream shows you, whether you're dreaming or dreaming in a dream, that none of that matters to me. That's sort of the sort of like subcontext that you're just kind of getting lost in the weeds. So pay more attention to what shows up on the screen, is what I would say with that. All right, Laura asked me a question. How do you know the difference between a regular dream and a premonition? Which I kind of answered. I would say a quote unquote regular dream could just be like, I need to buy something at the store tomorrow, and you remember to do that, or you wanted to wake up at a certain time and you have the alarm kind of going off in your head and you wake up at exactly the right time. Sometimes we can just be dealing with garbage from the day. So what you should try to do is like make a list before you go to bed of things that you need to do tomorrow. Imagine maybe that you're hanging things on like when you go out of work, for instance, if you're not working from home, you could imagine that you're hanging your problems on the front door of the office or the trees outside. I took a walk last night for an hour and a half. It was just something I felt like doing. I hadn't done it in a while. And I just walked through the neighborhoods and I even touch the trees sometimes too. So I ground the energy a little bit and I let it go. And then I usually have clearer dreams if I have a chance to just do something to get myself out of the work mode. So do something to clear your head, because you're holding on to stuff. For those of you that are, somebody asked this question and I'll get into it in a second, but whoever asked the question about why do I kind of keep going through the stuff from the day, it's because you probably are working all day long, maybe like a 10-hour job. You eat dinner, you walk the dog or something, and then you go to sleep. You're not having any time to decompress. So more decompression time will help. More time to do nothing so that you can get that stuff out of your head. And not just sort of like zoning out and watching Netflix. You need to do what I did, take a walk, breathe, and just let it out. Talk to a psychologist if you're dealing with a lot of issues. If you're dreaming what you just did that day, it's because you aren't having enough time to reset between the end of your day and the beginning of your rest, okay? So you're having to do more work in your dreams because you're stressed out. So hopefully that helps. Teresa had a question here about remembering more details. You said, sometimes I remember vivid colors, smells, and tastes, yet other times I have dreams and I can remember very little. Think about it as like Cliff's Notes or Spark Notes or whatever those sort of cheats are for big books. We're not supposed to remember the whole thing. This is the one time when you don't have to read the Grapes of Wrath, right? You just have to understand the key plot points and not the full narrative. It's not a telenovela. You don't need to know every little piece of this. So if all you remembered was a taste, a visual, something like that, perfect. One thing that you can do to remember more details is, first of all, record what you can remember, and then take a deep breath, close your eyes, and go back into that space, and then just look around a little bit and think like, what was I doing right before that? Okay, wait, and then I was doing this. And so sometimes I have to walk myself around a little bit in the dream, and then I can remember other things. So write down what you can remember, and then imagine that you can kind of explore the space a little bit and start to see what else you can see, okay? Hopefully that helps. Kimber has a question here about a reoccurring dream of moving into a new home and being worried about the windows and doors, making sure that they're locked. Let me see, the end of this was cut off, so I'm gonna go back to what else you wrote there. So let's see. First of all, if you have any dreams about security or things not being safe, I would say one of the things that you want to look at is how secure, how safe you feel about people in your life, things going on. So it could just be a little bit of nudge to amp up your security. So here it is. You said being worried about the windows and doors are locked against the man that's trying to come in. Okay, so yeah, I feel like this is just really your feelings of security, safety, boundaries. It can also be boundaries and limits with others. So just making sure that you are setting clear boundaries, saying yes and no, and not letting people kind of get into your energy space if you don't want them in there. So if you're tired, just say no, etc. But for me, that is just sort of about working on personal security, boundaries, and then you can literally look around a little bit, make sure your house is all right. But I think we all have those fears sometimes. So when if it's a particular individual in your life and they're making you feel this, or you see this happen after you connect with them, there's something to investigate there a little bit. But I wouldn't worry too much about it, okay? I think it's just about also maybe taking that leap of faith, because a window to me is a portal. So it might just be about protecting something that you're not ready for others to see, or being afraid of what might be on the other side, right? So hopefully that helps. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. By the way, I see a lot of chat and a lot of engagement today, so I'm happy for it. Save any questions that you have for me until the end, because I'm not going to be able to see them right now. I'm moving through the all the questions that I got previously, so I just wanted to speak up with that. Okay, so the next one was spiders. This came from Mary. Mary, this is a good question. I knew I talked about it this month, so I looked it up before I came on. And you can go to my Capricorn reading this month, even if you're not Capricorn. And I talk a lot about spiders. I wrote down a few things that I talked about during that reading. But to me, they show that we are the creators or the weavers of our own fate, right? So one of the cool things about the spider is it's about manifesting and attracting. So again, Capricorn, I go into great detail about this. So listen to the May 2021 Capricorn in case you look at this much later, and that'll help you. And then the other thing is I used a cord cutting visual with this particular spider too, because when you think of spiders, they clear out their web. So I see them as capable of attracting and releasing things. And of course, they can also be a trickster god or symbol. So you want to make sure that someone in your life isn't trying to pull you into something. So mostly I see them as a power symbol and a creation or a manifestation symbol. But if it's associated with someone else, it can also be a tricky sort of thing where they're trying to show up in a way that isn't authentic. Okay. So hopefully that helps, Mary. Don't be afraid of them. And even in real life, they're not going to kill you. They're usually here they'll get rid of insects and other things. So, we don't want to kind of like hold a black widow, but, small little house spider isn't going to cause any harm. So usually they're a good symbol and a lucky symbol at that. Okay. Sarah had a question about, let's see here. I'm looking, what's this? I read an article years ago that claimed when you are dreaming and you suddenly find yourself in your childhood home, it's a common theme here, that it's a representation of yourself. As I said earlier, I think it can be just an imprint of your old sort of childhood memory, and you were just there a lot. But it could also be like, one thing that I saw is it could be parts of your mind, because we could kind of imagine that there's this sort of house that is our headspace, right? And as you open up different doors or look in different things, it's the stuff that we're holding on to. It's in our energy or it's in our headspace. But it is very, very, very common, as we see with the repetitive questions about dreaming of a childhood house. It's just because you spent formative years there. And you're probably going through something right now that mirrors a moment in the past. That's my experience anyway. Okay. Now, Multiverse had a lot of questions. I can't go through all of them. I'm going to hit the first piece, which was about elephants. I think elephants are a good luck symbol. They are Ganesha, basically, Lord Ganesh. It's a chance to remove obstacles. They're very intelligent. They can be playful. They're lucky. And to me, I never see an elephant as a bad sign. Trunk up or down, it doesn't matter so much. But you said the trunk was pointed up. That's good. That's showing that you're really looking towards the positive side. To me, it's even like a playful or an engaging pose for the elephant as well. It could be telling you to sniff things out, look at things a little bit, because that's their nose too. So it's sort of saying like, really get a good sense for what's going on around you. So feel out the situation. Elephants are a great symbol. There's nothing negative with the elephant, okay? So if you see that, I think that's really, really positive. And you might want to work with Lord Ganesha. Really great energy for getting past something that seems impossible. Ganesha comes through and helps us push through, okay? Toya had a question about snakes, everybody's favorite animal. I actually feel like snakes are fantastic because if you study Kundalini Yoga, it actually can be the sort of coiling of the energy from the base of the spine to the top, and it can show an awakening. So it can be psychic awakening. That's one thing that a snake can show. It's power. It's cunning. It is flexibility, can get in and out of any situation. It can also be passion. It's associated with the sexual chakras. So it can be expression and passion. And just like the spider, it can be tricky, of course, because we say someone acts like a snake or whatever. So they're using the cunning and the getting in and out of situations. So you can kind of see like a snake energy maybe in the 7 of Swords or the 5 of Swords or something like that, where there's trickster energy. But mostly a snake is positive, and it really depends on the context, okay? And I think that's one of the key things. So we'll look at that. I see some questions coming through. I can't answer all of these now. If I have a chance, I'll scroll up later. But like I said, try to save some of those until the end because I don't know how much time we'll have, but I'm trying to get through as many of these as I can. All right, so the next one, I answered the question that Marisha, you also had the same question as Toya about snakes. If they're moving around, part of this is maybe getting you to move, trying to make you sort of be more flexible, find a way to move into the energy of change, because that's also what I see them as, an agent of change. Okay, Andrea had a question about angels. This is really interesting. One of them was, it was interesting because you said this angel wanted to come, like kind of like inhabit your body or come into your body. I think take pause on that one. The other thing you said that you were kind of feeling tears, or you started crying when you woke up. So let's go with the latter, and then I'll talk about how much you want to let energy in or out of your sort of body, because that's a whole different question. It's not even really dream interpretation. It's just sort of like psychic protection. But as far as like what angels can make you feel, you absolutely could weep if you connect with an archangel, because it's basically unconditional love, but it also will bring up things that we need to deal with. So back when I had like my Saturn return, I remember during my psychic awakening, this has been a while, but when I had that, one of the angels that came through, it was kind of like it went through almost like a pipe cleaner and just cleared everything out. It didn't touch me. It was kind of like working almost like Reiki above me, but I felt this energy move through me. It had to clean out some old karma and old energy. And so I did that sort of deep breath, and then you do feel like crying, you feel like laughing, you feel like this euphoric sort of energy. You don't know what to do with it. So I would say having an extreme reaction, positive usually, to an archangel is normal. Weeping is normal too. It's just overwhelming. So your body processes it however it can. So if you have an extreme, hopefully positive energy with it, good. Now, if you are very afraid, if you feel terrified, if there's something icky about it, that's not an archangel. That's something lower. So pay attention to that. Fear of the unknown can sometimes block us from a positive feeling, because like one time I connected with the ascended master, Jesus. I'm not overly religious. I was just happened to be in walking by a church. I went in and meditated, and I looked up at the avatar, and I just connected with it. And at first I kind of felt almost like, what's happening? And when I released and surrendered a little bit to the energy, it was really wonderful. So sometimes when we feel something very high frequency coming in, and especially like, so that ascended master came in through my throat, and I was afraid. It almost felt like, what's going on here? And then it just melted and it opened, but it was removing a block. He was removing a block that I had, and it took a few days for that block to melt. Years later, I tried reconnecting with that ascended master, and it was beautiful. So fear can block us. Now, if something's trying to get in your body, no, you don't have to do that. You shouldn't do that if you don't want to do that. I don't do that. So even channels don't have to let something come through them completely. You could just sort of have the energy work through your throat chakra, like I was talking about. So don't do it if you don't want to do it. That's what I would say. It's all about limits. Though you could just say, find another way to do what you need to do. That doesn't work for me. Why do you want to do that? Ask some questions, okay? I'll pull one card on that one. I'm curious, but I would say mostly you should listen to your intuition when it comes to that. Yeah, this is about surrender. We have the Fool card. So for this one, it's just about surrendering to a higher power. And as long as you set the intention to only connect with the highest energy, something like that shouldn't bother you, okay? The next question came from just a bunch of initials, so I'm not going to say the name. You said that, let's see here. Oh, it's about not dreaming. Okay. And I guess you recently connected with some relatives, or you felt like they wanted to come through. You said your dad, your grandmother, and some other relatives. Okay. So if you don't need to dream to connect to spirit. So some of you may just be moving into a different modality. So if you're not dreaming, there could either be a fear of dreaming. You could be trying to dream too much, and you're actually kind of pushing away your natural ability to do so. So just focus on other ways. Sometimes I pull a card like you just saw. You could use a pendulum. You could meditate. There's so many different ways to connect to spirit. Just move into some other ones. And when you stop focusing on dreaming so much, these folks will come through in your dreams. In the meantime, you could develop some other skills. Use tarot cards. That's a great way to kind of connect. And you can ask questions that way. Always, you see all the candles behind me. I like to remind people sometimes here. So I have 2, 4, 6, 7 candles today because there's 2 wicks in that one. I always say prayers before I begin. and I call in ascended masters and set protection. So you should do the same thing before you work with cards or any sort of meditation. All right, let's see here. I think we can get through this if I talk a little faster on some of it. So the next thing here, yeah, we're on the last page for YouTube, and then I'll move on to Patreon, and then I'll see if we have time for anyone here. You said, what is it? This is from, I think it's Cass here. You said, what if your dreams tend to be lucid, and you saw something about being like more than one body at the same time, which is a little confusing. But you said looking at yourself from the outside, but you're in the person that you're looking at. Okay, so this is astral projection as well. It's something that I have actually talked to a family member that they were able to do it when they were a kid. So if sometimes you can do it when you're awake, you can see what's going on. You kind of push your consciousness up and see around you. You can also do it when you're asleep. You can almost completely leave your body sometimes, but you're having dual consciousness here because I do believe like we're multidimensional. In my book that I wrote, some of the angelic entities have that multidimensional energy where they can be many places at once. Even as humans, we can do that. So what you're just basically seeing is physical, metaphysical, or spiritual existence, and you were experiencing them in tandem. So it's kind of like a near-death experience, right? So when someone is on an operating table and they go out of body and they see the operation happening, and then they look around the room and they try to talk to someone, no one can see them. That's the higher self, but you had this unique thing where you were both dreaming and seeing. So good for you. Keep working on it. You've got some great intuitive skills. All right, Jeannie Hart, you said you dreamed of a friend who was fathering a child and it was like an accidental pregnancy. And you said that normally meant new beginnings. And apparently it was when your friend called you up, there was something new going on in their life, which is fantastic. Babies do symbolize like an ace of pentacles usually. So your question was, it was a first time for you. How can you do more of it? All right, so you have the capacity. I would say all of the things we've been talking about today, pick a different mode rather than just dreaming. I think that if you could focus on meditation, tarot, Reiki, something different, runes, I don't care. But if you start to develop the skills elsewhere, yoga's perfect too. Any or all of these things combined with just being open in your dreams, you're going to get more of it. But you have to start to develop the skills outside of dreaming too. That was just sort of like the universe saying, hey, here you go. I've had dreams when someone has handed me a resume before, have handed me a resume, and I reached out and I said, what's going on with the job search? And they said, oh my God, like I need to use you as a reference. I said, I figured it. Yes, you can use me as a reference. So things like that can happen where you'll get a literal symbol like that, or it can be symbolic of like birthing something. I think someone might have asked about it. If I missed it or if I'm going to come up to it, apologies. But I also had a question about like what it could mean to have a dream of a miscarriage, even if you're not pregnant. That just means that there's going to be a pause, delay, or a stop to something. I've had that too, actually. You can have it as a guy. You can imagine that you're delivering a baby. So it just means that if it's miscarried or if there's nothing there, then what it means is that you might have to find another way to accomplish what you're trying to do. That the person that you thought would be the connection, they're going to fall through. It doesn't mean that it won't come through. It just means you're going to have to do a little more work. So it's like an ace reversed, right? The potential's still there, but the timing's off. That's really what that would symbolize. Okay. Recurring dreams about the same subject matter. Excellent question. Is it a sign from the universe or a media bombardment? No, I think it's a sign from the universe. It really depends on what it is. So in my life, sometimes before I move, I will have dreams of moving incessantly for months until I listen to the universe and move. Because it's sort of saying it's time. Have you moved yet? What's going on with the move? It can just be the universe pushing you. It can be you seeing your own sort of obsessive or compulsive energy around a certain person, place, or thing as well. So if you're constantly dreaming of a person in your dreams all the time, it's saying, let's ease up on that a little bit, or a moment in time, or the same thing, like maybe you're showing up naked at work and it keeps happening and it keeps happening. So that's about working on the fear of being seen, judged, or revealed somehow at work. So once you erase the fear, then that dream goes away. It's like a residual haunting. It's there until it's resolved. So that's usually what the recurring energy is. So I would say that's the main piece, okay? You could also be breaking karma. There could be something that comes through and the universe is saying, this moment in time is your chance to break the cycle, like the devil card reversed. You get to unshackle that, okay? But you have to act. The main thing that will stop the repetition is to approach the fear make an action and let it go. Yvonne had a question about, you said, I had, maybe this is the one here. I had a dream of someone giving me a beautiful baby and I took it. Okay, this one is about an ace. It's an opportunity. Babies are like the sun card or an ace card. It could be a new relationship, new love, new opportunity. It's only positive the way I would see this. But the baby would need nurturing. It would need attention. It would need time. So a new responsibility could be coming through and knocking on the door for you, right? So pretty positive overall. The question for you would be, do you want that now? Are you ready for that? Because like I said, there are responsibilities associated with things like that. So if you're ready for it, I think it's good. And if you're not, then wait for the timing to be right. Okay. Let me move on to the patron questions, and then I will see if I have any other time to see if there's some other things that we can talk about today. All right. So Stephanie had a question for me, and you said, this was the one, how do I get away from the mundane everyday dreams and go into the higher place dreams? Basically stop worrying about fixing the copier at work, or, going to the grocery store or talking to your mom or whatever, and going into something like, I want a past life flashback, or I want to understand what to manifest. I hear what you're saying. And then you said you'd like to take your dreams to the next level, connecting with ancestors, guides, new souls to experience new things. Okay. The number one thing that I think happens here, Stephanie, I don't know your life, but I would say one of the things is probably just not enough decompression time. I'm going to pull another card for this one too, but I think just for generally speaking, you need to have sort of like a place where you can let things go. Even taking the walk like I did the other night, walk for half an hour or an hour for a while, and then just feel like every step you take, you're letting go of stuff. Connect with nature, smell the flowers. If you watch my Instagram account, I always post pictures of flowers and walks with Apollo. And last night I did one of a fountain. It was just as the sun was setting. It was beautiful. So I try to get out of the mundane and look at something beautiful around me. And that helps me open up a little bit too. Yeah, I have 4 of Wands here too, which tells me you do a lot of support work for others. Like you're there for people a lot. The card was reversed. So I feel like this is just a chance for you to hold some space for yourself as well. So if you do that, I feel like things will start to improve there. Okay. As I also was talking to Andre earlier, having a cozy space, working with crystals can help a lot too. You can work with different colored crystals. This one I like because it's a combination of protection and also kind of like being able to reach out there. So labradorite. You can also, let's see, you could be working, I don't have any purple, amethyst right there behind me. So amethyst is perfect as well. Anything like that will kind of help you start to move out there. And that's a protection sort of symbol. Selenite is good too. You can have, I have a bunch of these globes in my house because they're perfect for kind of helping clear the space. And with dreams especially, they can get rid of stuff that also they're kind of beautiful too to have. So selenite is great. I just forgot it. Amethyst is great and labradorite is great. Those 3 would be helpful for you to be able to connect a little bit more. All right, Stephanie? Let's go on to the next one. So let's see. This was, again, not really a name, so I'm not going to say it. So any general advice on how, for people that don't dream very often? I try to write down the dream on rare occasion, but they're very few and far between. Again, I'm encouraging everyone to play around a little bit with daydreaming and meditating and trying to maybe stay in that state just before you fall asleep. So try and take a nap on like a Saturday or something if you don't work. And before you fall asleep, see what you can do with that space and mold it a little bit and say, okay, I'm ready now to receive. Let's explore a little bit. Set the intention, set the protection, and have fun. And if you're not, try other modalities. Try other things like cards or runes or things like that. Dreams are not the only way. But when you stop focusing so much and when you clear your head, allow yourself to rest, you should be able to pick up on it. But there are some people, it's just like being tone deaf. There's only so much you can kind of connect to a certain frequency. So if it's not working all the time, don't focus on it. But then when you receive something, really connect with that and know that it's a blessing. Shelly, you have a question here about, you said occasionally for years I've had this recurring dream of being in an empty house, not my house, but very familiar. And you said it's probably like nighttime because you can't see anything but the open windows. And it sort of feels like, here I am, I'm home again. I see it as a blank canvas, and it could be a future place calling to you. houses have energies. They have the ability to kind of beckon us as well. With all the windows being open, it feels like there's a lot of opportunities in the future for you that are kind of opening up as well. So it could be calling you to move on, to open up to someone or something else. To me, the windows are what I pay more attention to, because you're in that familiar space, but there's nothing there. So there, if we really abstracted this, you could even see that there might be something in your life that's kind of empty, and you're being beckoned to go through the windows. Maybe not the space isn't what's important, right? Okay. Next question here is from Desiree. And you said, how can I purposely connect with my spirit guides in dreams if I don't have a regular practice of lucid dreaming? Would dreaming be more clear and sure way of receiving guidance? And you've tried to connect to them with tarot, but you feel resistance. So the first thing that my guides told me is that your guides are always with you. Like your ascended masters are always there. So you can just, if you don't feel the connection with tarot, the resistance that you feel could be the block, but it could also be them not wanting to work with that. So have you tried sketching? Have you tried automatic writing? Like I do, putting everything down on note cards. It's quite effective, actually. It takes a little bit more work, but today I was doing just more things that I wanted to talk about. But when I do this, I often am able to delve a little bit deeper into an idea. So try something like that, writing, sketching it down, and just visualizing. So all of those things will help. And then the other thing for you is, again, setting that intention before you go to bed. You know, I had a guide that I recently met, and it was the dragon one, and she gave me her card, which was a very clear indication, if you want to connect with me again, just call me. So you could do the same metaphor. If you can imagine that you're sort of psychically giving them your card and say, here's how you can contact me. I'm free tonight at 11 o'clock when I go to bed or whatever. So set it out there and tell them, set an appointment with spirit. That's something that I've talked about before. And you probably should have a practice. So try to go to bed at a certain time, or set aside like Fridays and Saturdays as your days to connect with spirit and do some meditations or some rituals that kind of pull that in. If you don't show up for spirit, why do you want it to show up for you? It's a two-way relationship, right? You've got to be there for it too. So that would be my advice there. Maybe not popular advice, but I think it's important. Spirit will meet you halfway, but it's not going to do all the work. Okay, Aaron has a question here. You said, I think this is about recollection as well. You seem to remember every single nightly dream, but not so much over the past 3 decades. And I guess you wanted me to look at one in particular about a snake. So much about snakes today. So you said you're trying to help and prevent someone from being bitten by a venomous snake, and you're really focused on the jaw, and you were worried about, I guess, being poisoned or bitten. You were bitten in the process. So, okay, for me, venom is power. And really what you're describing to me is the strength card, just a different symbol. So instead of a lion or a tiger or whatever, or an alligator, it can be any animal. Why not a snake? It's the same thing. It's when a snake kind of clenches its jaw, it's really fast and it's really strong. So what you're trying to do is it's a tug of war. It's the strength card. So there may be someone in your life where you're trying to make them see or say or understand something from a point of view, and it's dangerous to do that. That's why the venom is there. It's actually a more powerful symbol than the lion. So when I see that, I would say don't try to. If someone doesn't want your protection or they don't want your insight, let it go, right? Because you might get caught in those jaws or in that venom. So to me, it's about taking your power back, waiting for people to come to you, protecting yourself, and it's power dynamics. That's the snake for me. Expression, like I said earlier, it doesn't have to just be sexual. It can be your solar plexus. So it could just sort of be like how your power dynamics are. And then also, because you're talking about the mouth, it can also just be about your throat chakra. So focus on power and communication, and then power dynamics. That's what the snake is telling me. So you're not going to die from the venomous bite. The venomous bite was symbolizing maybe not trying to get involved in an argument with someone. That power struggle might be toxic. We'll look at the toxicity of it, but it's not so much the snake, and there's nothing really to be afraid of. It's abstracted on some other area of your life. Carol has a question here about this is a really good one, and it's so annoying. I've had this happen, so I think this will benefit a lot of people. He said, what could it mean to still be dreaming about someone that I split up from more than a decade ago? I have the dreams. We are either back together or still together. it's not something that you desire. I don't blame you. It's a contract release. You can do that. I have an old video on my YouTube channel. You can search it. But what you could do is in waking time, imagine yourself in a circle of light, call in protection from your guides, see the other person in spirit outside of that circle, and release the contract with them with love. You could say, with love and with light, I release you from my mind, body, and spirit. I release any connections, any debts, any promises, any anger that the two of us hold between one another. And in doing so, we're free. You can also, if you can lucidly talk to the person, if not, you can just do it awake and psychically. Say, if you love me, move on, like go away. I had to say that to someone who passed in a dream because they were coming through again and again and again. And I finally looked at them and I said, if you love me, go away. It was very direct. It wasn't mean. And if you've watched The Matrix, it was like the end of the first movie where he jets up into the sky. The person listened. So it works. So you could be holding on. They could be holding on. Do a contract release. And then try not to be angry at them when you see them. Try to practice indifference, spiritual indifference with this person. You are so not an issue. You're so I don't even notice you anymore. You could just kind of keep pretending like they're almost like a ghost at some point, and you would be able to 6 of swords or 4 of swords them out, if you will, distance them or kind of like ease them out of your energy. Okay. I think it'll get better for you, but I think that's what it is focusing on that a little bit. All right. Danielle has a question here. You said recently a shaman was in your dream. He looked like the White Eagle in the Keepers of the Light deck. It's a cool Kyle Gray deck, I believe. Yeah. He was just there. I can't remember if he talked or not. How can I connect with him again? All right. Since he came through with that sort of eagle-like energy, why not set a meeting place for him and do a waking meditation? Set a space where you imagine that you're going to meet up in the trees, right? This giant eagle's nest. And you could sit in it, like an oversized one that could fit 2 or 3 humans, and just sit there and say, I'm ready. And imagine that before you go to sleep, that you set that space. You're the creator here. But since this person has sort of like bird-like qualities, go halfway. A tree's halfway between the earth and the heavens. So you could just sit up there and say, I'm ready to receive the messages now. Meet me here. Set an appointment with that energy, with that shaman, with that deity. Okay. I think that's the main message there from that. And then C has a question. You said you have repeated dreams of your old job, which you really hated, and you felt not so safe there. You were attacked by someone at work, and they keep coming through. So this is also very common. And there's probably still some anger, bitterness, or resentment toward the person, towards the office, the experience overall. So the main thing to do is to go through that and release the anger, the issues that you might be having with those people in your life. And you've got to deal with it in the waking hours. So maybe you have to talk to a psychologist. Maybe you need to confront someone from that place. If there was something that was done that was illegal or wrong, maybe there has to be some legal action taken. It's about you pulling the reins back and saying, no more. And this is, like really kind of getting in control of that. But the thing that I just talked about with the person that like hasn't seen their partner for 10 years, it works too. So just really say to that person, I release you and I don't feel anything anymore. Like, move on. It's kind of sad if you don't. Like, kind of get into that energy where you don't feel anything about it. Because if you can get neutral or indifferent, whatever feels better, like whatever, if you can really feel that sort of sense of whatever, then you're going to be free and that energy will move on too. But you're holding on a little bit is what I would say there. And then there was someone about like waking up for a test. I think we all have these, even if you're 40, 70, 100. Sometimes you feel like you're going to wake up and you're not ready for that test. I would say there's probably something that you need to prepare for, take some action, or you're worried about being caught unaware. It could also just be insecurity of your own abilities. So just focus on feeling good about yourself and being prepared. I think those are the key things that come through for that. Okay. Last page, and then we have a little bit of extra time here. You said, this is from Jamie. I have a lot of silly dreams. None of them seem very deep. How can you tell the difference between nonsensical or one that has a deeper meaning? Empathy, as I said before, how far you are really feeling something, it really will tell you that. I think everything has a kernel of truth, but you want to get to the popcorn, not just one little kernel. So I would say, don't focus on the minutia. That's one thing. Even those nonsensical ones, are you sure there's not something in that is worth looking at? So yeah, I had a dream about being in the fitting room, but today we were talking about dreams, and I was able to relate it to what it was going to be about today, which is being able to try on new things, try different things out. In our dreams, we have the ability to let go of our filters. We're shown the things that are our worst fears. We are shown our desires, and we can't escape from the desires. And then other things come through too to trigger us. So maybe there's something in the mundane stuff that actually is worth exploring. So clear your mind a little bit and really think about this stuff. See, is there something there that even coffee, like if you were just making coffee, look at the cup. Maybe you can look at some tea, the coffee, reading the tea leaves or the coffee leaf grains. You can do something with that. I think there might be something there that you could still see. But if there's a lot of silly stuff, quote unquote, then you just need to focus on meditating more. That's all. Okay. Mariam had a question here about, okay, you were the one that asked about pregnancy or miscarriage. And even if you're past the age of having babies, or too young or too old or incapable. So to me, babies are opportunities because it's something that you're going to take care of and you're going to birth. You don't just birth a child. You can decide to go to school. You can decide to improve your health. You could decide to launch your business or to sell a product. If you have a miscarriage, like I said, the timing could be off symbolically, or the channel that you're using could be wrong and it's not the right one to birth it in. So just abstract it. A birth, though, is showing something new coming in, and just sense how you feel about it. Are you feeling unprepared? Are you feeling excited and loving? That's kind of probably the energy of the opportunity that will come through. That's all it really is. It freaks you out, but it's not. I remember one dream that I had when I dreamed that I had miscarried a baby. Again, it shouldn't be so weird for men or women to have this because we've been every gender in every lifetime. So let's get over that sort of thing. So if you dream that you have a baby, male or female or non-binary, and you're just sort of birthing something, then it's sort of like, in my dream, I was proud of what I had birthed, but nobody else was. So it wasn't so much as a miscarriage as it was a rejected birth. Like people thought it was ugly, but I thought it was beautiful. So what Spirit told me was hold true to your vision, because you see something they can't, but the timing isn't right. So I had to wait 2 or 3 years to birth it again, and it was successful the second time around. So I saw the love and I saw the light. No one else could. And I was like, I don't know why people don't think this is a beautiful baby. It's beautiful. It's mine. So sometimes there's that. It could also be to kind of like be more discerning or to accept criticism, which was something that I worked on as well. So sometimes that's what the miscarriage is as well, is just to kind of look at it from a different angle. Okay. Leslie has a question here about the role of non-reality-based relationships. I think you're talking about fantasies here. You said lovers, children, babies. So if you have, if you see yourself in a different role, or if you see something that's not in your life, it's just a projection. It's just an experience. And if you are doing something you wouldn't normally do with someone that you normally wouldn't do it with, whatever that is, then it's just you exploring, what if this happened? That's all. It's projections. It's like role playing, basically, in dreams. So I think it's very normal. And the last one here that I have, hopefully I answered everyone's. I tried to. Repeated dreams of feeling lost and unable to get home, losing your purse, losing your keys, etc. I have a family member that has this dream all the time. A lot of times this is a directional thing. It can be about life path. It can be a fear of ambiguity, like what's around the corner, and not being able to control all of these things. If you have Capricorn in your charts, that can pop up sometimes because you want to kind of analyze things. A Capricorn moon especially can have something like that. But any sign is capable of wanting to kind of go into it too much, even Libra. So I would say, yeah, if you're very analytical, sometimes these are just if you're trying to make sense of everything, and life doesn't always make perfect sense when we're going through it later sometimes. So I would say just being able to flow with it a little bit will help. So there you go. That was a lot that we kind of worked through. And if I were to kind of like pick some themes of how this works, I think you're picking up on it that it's never black and white. A baby is not a baby. The eagle was just saying maybe reach higher for a goal too. That guide that came through could just be telling you that. The spider is telling you you're creating your own future. I love animals in dreams because they really show the capacity to like other aspects of our personality. So when we see something, it embodies energies that we don't. So it's reminding us to find that within. So hopefully that helps. Let me know if there's so many. I'm just scanning through chat. I know a lot of you gave super chats, and I don't always have time to kind of answer these. So I'm just going to scan through them and see if there was a question here. I talked about the secretive doors or sort of like portals in a house. It's really an opportunity to try something different. So for those of you that were asking about that. If you're noticing colors, Christina asked a question about colors in a dream. I would say you're probably picking up on their auric field. And we have the capacity to shift our aura from day to day, minute to minute, based on what we're feeling. So, you may have a naturally green aura if you're a healer, but if something upsets you, it could go to like orange or yellow. So if you're seeing that, you might be picking up on someone's feelings about you. Warm oranges are not necessarily bad. It's power. I'm wearing orange today. So orange is a good color. And golden yellows, golden is good too. I mean, that's just showing me the ability to have like power and expression and control. So I see them as empowered colors, right? It's not accidental that you see like a lot of royalty and gold and everything like that. So, okay, let me just scan and see if there were any other super chat questions here. I don't normally take them, but I'm just looking here today. If you've seen someone is seeing a spirit that's upstairs, like an old woman, there may be an imprint there of somebody that lived there once. So you could smudge the space. You could try and talk to her and see what comes through and see how that makes you feel. Sometimes you're just seeing, again, it could be an old relative. It could be someone that lived there before. I think you just want to kind of engage with the spirit a bit if you feel safe. Otherwise, just smudge and clear and kind of claim the space. A lot of times we can coexist with a haunting and it's not the end of the world. Sometimes there are friendly ghosts that just want to have their space. So give them their space and it's not the end of the world. I have some relatives that live in haunted houses. I don't want to do that myself, but if you can coexist with the spirits, then there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. So let me see. I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to pull a couple cards here. We have enough time that I'm going to do one quick spread for the general here, general collective. I'm going to use the Light Seers deck here, and I'm going to ask, are there some ways that you can get a little bit more in tune with your dreams? And are there any messages that I need to deliver to everyone here right now? So we'll just do one quick Celtic cross since you're all here, and we'll see if there's anything that I can add into that. I'm looking at the express sort of way of what you can do to be more open. Okay, good. And anything that you need to do to open up here a bit. All right, so I talked a little bit earlier. We had like the King of Wands card. This Page of Wands is cool because they're kind of throwing out the intention, what it is that they want, like a baton, like a majorette or something like a baton thrower. I like this. So when you're working with dream energy or trying to kind of reach out a little bit, what you want to do is set the intention and kind of release it like this page is. Here's what I want. Here's what I'm trying to do. Let's do this. But the other part is you have to communicate. And I think setting up an experience with or like an appointment with spirit on a regular basis is going to be really important. So make sure that you are at least once a week doing something where you set some time, even if it's just like you decide on a Friday night to take a bath and meditate in the bath, that works too. Close the door, tell everyone to leave you alone for like 20 minutes or something, just so that you can connect a little bit with spirit. Light a candle, and you can also make that a kind of ritual. You could put lavender in the water or something like that to kind of release some of the stuff from work. Do something like that. If you don't have the luxury of time, before you go to bed or when you first wake up, you could get up ahead of people a little bit and decide, like, before I do these readings, I need to get up a couple hours early to prepare mentally. I can't just like roll out of bed and click go live and hope for the best. There's preparation that's involved with kind of connecting to spirit. And so just put some preparation towards what you're trying to do. Don't hold on to wanting something too much with the Four of Pentacles. Sometimes protecting yourself too much or wanting to get something too badly will thwart the natural sort of fluid energy of dreams. So you gently sort of set this intention, you throw it out, and if the person wants to call you back or if the energy wants to connect with you, it will. We dream a lot. We have a lot of nights, you've got 365 chances every year to connect with spirit. If you don't do it tonight, don't beat yourself up. Maybe you just needed the rest too. So just to be open, to not hold back, to not be afraid to explore, because this is a card of pulling in. So I'd say don't pull the energy in too much. Let it be whatever you're trying to feel like in that moment. If you feel love, fear, anxiety, go into that and understand like why it's coming through. It's coming through to open you up. It's helping you sort of see something that you normally wouldn't. Dreams are just mirrors into our reality, right? Into our self. Ace of Wands. This is the question about like the philosophers and their thoughts on dreams, whether it's Freud or someone else. Don't overthink. You really want to focus on the third eye, what's coming through. I would say for you, the first thing that you associate with the symbol would be the most valuable for you. I saw this, I felt that, or this comes through and then something like this happens in my life. Don't go too deep. It's good to do a little research on it. Just like cards, you need to learn the value before you can go past it. It's or like the alphabet, you've got to put all the letters together. Learn the letters first, then put the words, and then you start to create things with it. But I think on a soul level, you know what to do. It takes time. It takes time to develop. Thank you, Seven of Pentacles. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a beautiful illustration showing that the work happens within before you see it above ground. So you're going to do the work here. You're going to do the work here. You're going to do the work in your body first, and then you're going to start to see the changes happen. Then you'll start to see things happen in your life. So focusing on improving your health, mental and physical, focusing on improving your finances, working conditions, all that stuff. Get all your pieces of your life together, because until that's together, it's going to be hard to develop psychically, right? The only time that this is not necessarily the case is if you need protection and then your spider senses come through and you're sort of like, I need to, okay, this person is trying to do this, or I better take care of this. So sometimes your body will, or your mind will go into a protective mode, but generally speaking, the more you can be grounded and prepared, the better. Open heart, open mind, playful energy, and a sort of ritualistic energy too here, because the Queen of Cups almost reminds me of the High Priestess here. So going at the dream energy as if it was something really, really valuable, really, really sacred, which by the way it is. Six of Cups, this is one of the cool things. Once you start to do this, you can connect with people from the past, whether it's your inner child, or it could be a relative or a pet or someone in your life that maybe you've lost. This is the best part of developing that skill, is seeing familiar energies. Some of you are just too busy. We've got the Eight of Wands. I get it. We all have to work hard. We have a lot that's going on. If you do too much, if you work too much, again, it really depends on your makeup. You'll either dream much more or much less, or the dreams will be kind of chaotic. So try to balance yourself out, and you're going to have more normalized sleeping and dreaming patterns. Finally, the more you kind of get on, well, not finally, this is how you can get to the final card. We have the star here, which is showing that the closer you are to your true self, the more easily spiritual energy is going to flow through you. So if you're stuck in a marriage, a job, or something in your life where it doesn't feel authentic, you're being blocked probably spiritually too, because you're not allowing yourself to shine the way you need to. So getting on the path, going after your hopes, approaching your fears without fear, just kind of thinking like, how can I deal with this? All of that's going to help. And then again, if we just kind of connect the Seven of Pentacles to the Wheel of Fortune, easy does it, and growth is there. It's something that you can absolutely connect to in the long run. So hopefully that helps. Those are the high level messages here. Nothing fearful, nothing scary. I think that hopefully all of that helped. Did I answer everyone's high level questions? Hopefully. I hope I did. If there's any, I'll give you one last chance here if there's anything that I didn't cover as far as like repetitive dreams, flying in dreams, being naked in dreams, lucid dreaming, how to develop it. I think we kind of covered everything that we need to. So if we did, then I'm going to wrap this up today and say thank you so much. If you like videos like this, please share them. This is a little bit out of the norm for my general sort of kind of like schedule here. I do occasionally will go into intuitive development videos. In the past, they haven't been super popular, but if you like this, when it's on replay, hit the like button, comment on it, share it with someone, help it kind of get some traction. And if I see enough movement here, then we'll do more of these. But I need to see that this is something that you enjoy for me to do more in the future. Someone asked about connecting to their higher selves. I would say that to connect with your higher self, meditation is the key thing. Really just focusing on making sure that you listen, because it's not always going to come through with, sort of like this visual or this audio cue. I want you to kind of just feel it out. I think that it comes with clairsentience. You're just going to get this feeling of what's right and wrong. So you're always connected to you, but you have to sort of like more often make sure that your higher self is there and is listening, and you're willing and ready to kind of let that come through. So there we go. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for today because I feel like we've covered everything that we needed to, and I feel like it was a really great session. I want to thank Maria for helping moderate. I know we had a lot of questions maybe that I didn't get a chance to answer. So if you would like me to do more of these in the future, maybe in another 6 months or something, I can do another one on dreams. Become a channel member or become a patron. This is what I'm trying to do to reward folks that have been supporting me for a long time. So if you like what you see here, there's a join button underneath the video. You can become a channel member, and I occasionally allow Q&A access like this. I can't always do it in the live feed, but I can do it when I kind of post something ahead of time. Thank you to everyone that did give a super sticker or super chat today. You really helped me being able to do more videos like this, so thank you. And it also helps pay for all the supplies, so every little bit helps. If you'd like to learn more about when I do sort of bonus videos, I'm going to do another one about Apollo soon. I have to finish the editing. You can join me on social media. On most social media, my handle is @NicholasAshbaugh. There's a couple like, where is it here? Like Twitter, that's a little bit different. You can just go to my website for that. But pretty much everywhere, it's Nicholas Ashbaugh. It's my first initial last name for Twitter and Ashbaugh. And finally, if you would like to give back or help out, I would say, in a really easy way that doesn't require anything, you can just hit like and subscribe. This is so helpful in helping this channel be discovered, and you guys have been great about that lately. So if you haven't previously subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you've already done it, thank you. If you haven't opted into notifications before, you can do that. This is a one-time thing only for those things. For the video, thumbs up if you haven't done so as well. If you want to check out my book, it's behind me there. It's called The Luminous Ones. It's on my website. You can check it out there. It's mostly for sci-fi and fantasy fanatics, but you can read the description and see if it's something you would like. Thank you so much, everyone. Wishing you much love and light. I hope that you have a great day ahead. And I will be back on Sunday to kick off the next month's readings. I'll be doing Aries, and sometime in the next few days, I'll be doing a video with Apollo. I have to finish that up. So anyway, thank you so much. Much love and light. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye. Sweet dreams.